Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy NBA Finals. My name is Tanner Dawson of Let's Talk Sports and the Sports Buffoons. Joined with me is JG of the Sports Buffoons and Mr. Scott Cobe of Let's Talk Sports. What's up, guys?
Not much. Pressure's off with the Celtics not being there, so
Now you can enjoy basketball again.
We're just getting ready for the sweep, man. Like, everybody broke out the brooms already, so let's get it over with.
Hey,
Yep.
I told you Wednesday, Denver in 5. I'll give Butler a game. So
yeah.
Oh man, what a thing to talk about. Game 2 is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Guys, we're in the midst of it. NBA Finals is here. Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets. The Celtics ended up getting knocked off partly due to an injury, but just overall, just bad play, horrendous time. But don't worry, Scott, Joe Mazzulla is returning per Brad Stevens. So your wish is
No, that's for me. I'm the one that fired his ass, and then I brought him back after he pulled his head out and won some games. So he can thank me for that shit.
Oh, so you kept his job. That's what it
He
is.
kept his job.
JD, did you hear him after the game when the press asked him, "Do you need to switch anything up?" And he's like, "Nope, we're fine, totally fine."
No, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I remember that.
Come on, really? Okay, 84 points in the game 7's fine with you. Not
Nah,
with me.
he's good, man. He's a younger guy. What is he, like 34 years old or something? He's
Yeah,
he's got a longer leash now that
yeah,
he
he
kind of
does.
proved that he could not get swept, I guess.
34. Yep. I mean, he's only a year older than me. So
Meanwhile, you got Udonis Haslem, who's getting ready to turn 43 years old, still sitting on their bench.
yeah,
Why is he
He's talking
not
shit.
coaching? The fucking Celtics coach should be a player, and Udonis Haslem should be coaching. He's 43 fucking years old.
but see, that's the thing. Joe doesn't have it.
No, was he injured or something? I mean, why didn't he even play in
No,
the
it's just
Celtics series?
they're
at
not
all?
going to put him in. They just want him on the bench.
Yeah, he's there for veteran leadership. He's not there to
That
play.
must be-
It's just like Iguodala.
That's what I was just
making-
going to say. That
That's all it is.
yeah,
He's
that's
getting
what-
ready to turn 43 during the NBA Finals, and he's making about $2.9 million per year.
That's
Yeah,
That's
Same.
not a bad gig.
no, not at all.
I'll do that gig all day long.
be
I'll play in
down with
your trash time all day. I'll be here. Oh man,
I'll be
guys, let's get into it here. We got the Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets, game 2. Like I said, tomorrow night, Sunday, June 4th, guys. And I mean, this is insane. A Miami Heat team that was an 8 seed going, defeating the number 1 overall Bucks, then playing the Knicks, who were pretty hot at the time, and then beating the Celtics. In that final game 7. Like, this is insane. This Miami Heat team is continuing to do things that they shouldn't be doing. Again, this is a team with also a loss in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Teams, you normally don't see this kind of stuff, right? Even with the play-in tournament. This is a team that wouldn't even be in the playoffs, to be truthful, if there wasn't a play-in tournament. So you got to remember that as well. And then, the other side, Denver Nuggets, they went through the Suns. You had the team of the Suns of the Durant, Booker, making Ayton look like a little person and possibly get him kicked out of the Suns this offseason. And then you go play LeBron and you sweep the GOAT, right? You sweep the GOAT, right, Jason? The GOAT. And then AD, you make AD score a bunch of points, but you prove his game. Now we're here. Now we're here in the finals. And Joker, game 1, continued to do the same thing. Triple-double. Jamal Murray with a double-double. And you continue to allow these big men inside score a lot of points, but they don't get the second chance points. They're not able to get there. And something to note here, we'll talk about it later. Actually, I got something else for you later in this game.
Okay.
But like Jason, let's start with you, man. What's your takeaways from game 1?
I wasn't really surprised. I mean, I gave Miami a little bit of a chance to steal that first game, but after seeing the game, I mean, you could obviously see that they were gassed from that long 7-game series. They flew straight to Denver, but that first game in the altitude, you're just trying to get your wind. And I know people always say, well, these guys are professionals and the altitude really shouldn't affect them. When you just get out of a long 7-game grueling series like that, the altitude is going to affect you. And you could just see it by watching the players. I mean, a lot of those missed shots that they had were coming up short. Jimmy Butler didn't look like he was full speed. He just kind of looked like a plotter. So he did, they didn't really look right to me. And Miami really shot like shit. Now Denver played a good game, but they didn't play their best game. So the first thing that I noticed about Denver was, offensively and defensively, I thought their scheming was on point. They were well coached in that first game. But Michael Porter Jr. was only 2 of 11 from beyond the arc, but he still had 20 points. So he's not going to shoot that poorly going forward. He probably was a little bit rusty, which is something that we talked about with Denver possibly being an issue in that first game, but he was a little bit rusty, but he's a much better 3-point shooter than that. And so if I'm Denver, I feel great because Michael Porter Jr. didn't really shoot that well. Now the rest of the team shot pretty well. But while they only won by 11 points, if Michael Porter Jr. plays a little bit better, has a little bit better shooting night, that game's a blowout. And so that's what I take away from it from Denver's perspective. You didn't play a great game, but you still won by 11. Now on the Miami side, my biggest 2 concerns, number one, Aaron Gordon getting all those layups. And Aaron Gordon is a bad matchup for Miami. They don't really have anyone that can guard him because Bam Adebayo, he can't do everything, right? He's got to work on Nikola Jokic. And so I think that opens up a few minutes for Kevin Love because Bam Adebayo needs a little bit of help defending the paint. So Kevin Love didn't play at all. Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the adjustments that you see is Kevin Love, they're not going to give him like 25 minutes or anything like that, but they're going to give him some time in there defensively to help Bam Adebayo defend the paint. Otherwise, Aaron Gordon is just going to keep getting all these free layups with nobody contesting him. And so you need a little bit more length in there for Miami because Denver is just overall a longer team. So that's my first concern. My second concern is just that, Miami, they had a bad shooting night, only shot 40% from the field, whereas Denver shot 50%. You can't have that happen in game 2. I was one of the guys that kind of tried to buck the odds in this series. One of the few people that actually picked Miami to win the series. But if they don't get game 2, and I said this before this thing started, if they don't steal one of the first 2 games, I'll switch my pick immediately because Denver's going to win the series. I mean, and it would be a little bit different if Miami wasn't such a huge dog. I could see them going down 0-2 and coming back, but Denver is such a huge favorite that I don't see Miami pulling off a comeback if they go down 2-0. So that's my second biggest concern.
So you're going to switch from Wednesday if Nuggets win that, or tomorrow night.
The bright spot, though, for Miami was I thought that Haywood Highsmith did a great job guarding Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray was only 2 of 7 from 3. And I want to see them give Haywood Highsmith more minutes on him because I think that's the best matchup that they have to throw on Jamal Murray to try to guard him. And then on the offensive side of the floor, Haywood Highsmith only had 23 minutes, but he shot 70% from the field and he had 18 points. So he was hitting shots, and I think they're just going to have to give him more minutes to try to slow down Jamal Murray because you're not going to slow down Nikola Jokic no matter what you do. And so I think you've got to try to do the best you can to slow down Jamal Murray.
Do you think they have the off-brand of Nikola Jokic on the Miami Heat? That's Nikola Jovic
Jovic.
6'10" guy as well. He only played 32 seconds. It was trash time, but it's just funny over there. I'm like, oh look, the off-brand. But with this team here not playing Kevin Love, I thought was a huge factor because now you got a lot smaller, and we know entering that Mike and I at least talked about it. This is a big mismatch in height. This starting crew alone for the Nuggets are tall, and they don't have really anybody else outside of Bam and Kevin Love that can really battle that height in it. Scott, I guess what's your take here as well? The bench here for the Nuggets was only 3 guys with very minimal minutes. I mean, do you see the Denver Nuggets doing this same kind of thing again since they're home?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that Denver got up by 17 early in the game and just kept them at arm's length the whole game. So the theory on NBA radio after the game was, well, Caleb Martin didn't shoot well. Jimmy Butler didn't play well. Miami's in a good spot. They'll come back and they'll be more competitive in game 2. I don't see it that way. I think that the altitude is the biggest home factor or biggest X factor in the NBA playoffs this year. And I agree with JG. If Miami does not get game 2, they're going to lose. I think in 5, it may be 4. I mean, I'm giving Jimmy Butler 1 game, but I think Miami needs to show up and play better, a lot better than they did in game 1.
Do they necessarily need to win, or do they just need to keep it competitively close?
I think they need to win because you got to win 1 game in Denver. So you have to get – I would not count on going back there for game 5 if that's the case and getting that game, especially if Denver's up 3-1. So the game – I agree with JG. The game you need to get is tomorrow night, game 2. And if you don't get that game, all Denver really has to do is split Miami and go back to Denver and wrap it in game 5. So I agree with you guys. Kevin Love needs to play. He just needs to play. Bam is going to get tired just covering Jokic. I know he's slow. I know he's out in the perimeter a lot of the times, but Jokic is a lot to handle. So Bam needs help, and Kevin Love is the guy that can help. Yeah, it's just – Jokic scored 27, and does anybody think he had a really, really good game? I think he had a solid game. I don't think he had a really,
all the way to the fourth quarter to get that 10th rebound.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray is, again, he's a beast. So the X factor in this series is Aaron Gordon, and he scored 12 points in the first 6 minutes of the game in game 1, and then he kind of went silent. But as JG said, he was getting easy buckets, and that's a problem for Miami. You can't give up easy buckets to Denver. Expect to win.
Right. So JG here, let's put your coach hat on. If you're the Miami Heat, what's your starting 5? Who's your top 3 bench players, and what do you got to do to win this game?
Well, I'm going with the same starting 5. I mean, I don't think the starters really matter as much. The only thing that matters is who are you giving all the minutes to overall. And so we're going to give Kevin Love some more minutes, obviously, to protect the rim. But also, I'm putting Tyler Hero in. I know we talked about it before the series started that maybe you could get away with not bringing him back until game 3. But even if you were going to do that, you've got to get his dick wet, so to speak, in game 2. And I don't care if that means throwing him in there seriously for 10 to 12 minutes. If I just give him 10 to 12 minutes in game 2, get his dick wet, if he can give me 8 to 10 points, that helps me because I only lost by 11 points. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that it wasn't a good shooting game there, Scott, for Miami. Max Strus is not going to shoot 0 of 10. So I'm not going to take away minutes from Max Strus just because he went 0 of 10 in one game. That's not going to happen the whole series. Caleb Martin is not going to shoot 14% from the field from this whole series. They're just getting acclimated to the altitude. So those guys are going to shoot better. Duncan Robinson's not going to shoot 16% from the field. He's a very good shooter. Jimmy Butler's not going to have a plus minus of minus 17. That's not going to happen for the series. But if, like I said, if you can get Tyler Hero 10 to 12 minutes in game 2, then maybe in game 3, you bump him up to 18 to 25 minutes. And if he can get you 12 to 15 points in that game, again, you only lost by 11 points, but you played like shit. So that's the thing that makes me feel good as a Miami Heat fan. If I played that badly and I only lost by 11, all of a sudden, if I can insert Tyler Hero in games 2 and 3, and if he can somehow just kind of resemble that guy that was putting up 20 points a game in the regular season, that to me, that can change the whole series. Now, I understand he's mediocre defensively, so he's going to be a liability defensively, but I don't really care. I've got a score in this series because that Denver offense is firing on all cylinders. And so I'm throwing Tyler Hero in there to get me as many points as he can. And even if he comes out rusty in game 2, like you got to get him. You got to get him in there. You got to get him into the rotation because otherwise this series is going to be over. But that's
you're not worried about defense as much then for the Heat. Like you're like the other teams that play Patrick Mahomes, right? You got to score on these possessions. You got to go out there and put 7 on the board to keep up with this guy. Is it the same thing?
I wish that they would spend more time focusing on the other guys and not so much Nikola Jokic, because Nikola Jokic, he doesn't even want to score, dude. Like, he's willing to do whatever it takes to win, but he doesn't want to score. He wants to orchestrate the offense. He wants to get a shitload of rebounds and assist the ball and make his team better. And if you're going to allow him to do that, as the Miami Heat have done so far, you're going to lose. I would rather have Jokic put up 40 fucking points in every single game, or 45 points, and then you shut everybody else down. You shut Michael Porter Jr. down. You keep rotating different guys onto Jamal Murray. You know, obviously we want Highsmith to guard him as much as possible, but shut Jamal Murray down. And I want to turn Nikola Jokic into a scorer. Just let him have 40 points every fucking game. I don't care. I'm going to shut the rest of the team down. And that's what I'm going to do defensively. But I want to see a little bit less zone from Miami, because it worked a lot in the Boston series. That doesn't work nearly as well with Nikola Jokic, because, you know, they can just slash through that zone defense. I mean, when they play that 2-man game with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they can slash through that zone defense, no problem. And the adjustment that I was talking about earlier was, if you give Kevin Love more minutes to protect the rim, all that's going to do, if you keep playing that zone, it's going to open up the 3 ball, and then Denver's going to start hitting their threes. So I'm okay with a little bit of zone, but I think they need to get off of it a little bit. I want to see a little bit more man-to-man, and I want to see Nikola Jokic force him to just start shooting. I do not want to see that offense running on all cylinders, and I want to shut the rest of their offense down and then just let Jokic get as many points as he wants.
The 2 things that I'll bring up is, number 1, Miami was the lowest scoring team in the playoffs. So they're not going to go out and score 120 against Denver. They're going to be in the high 90s to low 100s. So they have to find a way to shut Denver down. And number 2, I 1,000% agree with JG. Let Jokic score 40. It's Jamal Murray. It's Michael Porter. It's Aaron Gordon that you have to slow down and control, because Jokic is more dangerous when he scores 25 points with 14 assists and 14 rebounds. That means Denver is running their offense at optimum level, so that you got to shut the rest of them down in order to have a chance to win in this series.
I love it. I love it. Now, Scott, we're going to throw it at you here for this game here. Give me 2 bets. 2 bets for the people here.
So I like Jokic's over on points, rebounds, and assists. I think that he's the facilitator of that team. He's like the James Harden for Philly in Denver. He gets the ball. He wants to set his teammates up. That's number 1. Number 2, I would go with Jimmy Butler's over points, because I think Jimmy Butler is going to have one of those games that he's going to score 30. I just think he's got to score 30 points in order for Miami to have a shot at winning. Bam scored 26, Jimmy Butler 13, Caleb Martin 3.
So I got Jimmy Butler Points right now. Players scoring the more points. Blah blah blah. Points over or under 26.5. Oh, it opened 26. It's down to 25.5 right now.
Yeah. He's got to score in order for them to win. He has to. And I think Spoelstra knows that, and I think Spoelstra is going to get the ball in his hands as much as possible in this game.
And so you're going as well, points, assists, and rebounds?
For Jokic. Yeah.
For Joker? Okay.
It's around 50.
51.5.
Yeah, I'd go over. He hit for 52 in game one, I think 51 or 52, and it was 50.5. So
I like that. Yeah, it looks like it's minus 110 is your best odds right now. That's in BetMGM. So for the over. So hey, I mean, I don't hate against it. I know he like last game I threw in the triple double bet for plus 105 on BetMGM, which was the best out there. Hit that luckily on that 10th rebound. This week here I got the double for Jamal Murray, and I believe that was like plus, it was something stupid like plus 230. So I got that going as well. I mean, that's my big bet of the game tomorrow is the double for Murray, because that's what he had this last game. It is plus 540 on DraftKings right now.
That's
for the
insane.
Y. Yeah, for
That's
yes.
Insane. The other thing I did was before the series, I put Nuggets in 5, and that was at like plus 575 or something like that. The way I'm attacking this series betting wise is I'm not going after the Denver -8. I'm going after the Jokic PRA, the Butler over under points when I think it happens, and I hit the Nuggets in 5 games because I think Butler will get Miami will get 1 in Miami. I don't think they're going to win game 2. I think they're going to win game 3.
Jason, you taking the money line on the Heat plus 300?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the money line on the Heat just because, like I said, I mean, they have to win this game. So I think they're going to come out with a sense of urgency here. And I think they've got the feeling that although they didn't get blown out in that first game, which is key, because a lot of times the teams get blown out, they come back with more fire and more urgency. Although they didn't get blown out, I think they're going to have the same type of urgency because this is just it's a different animal, man. They're a huge favorite, and you know Denver is dialed in, man. You can just see it in their body language. They're playing for blood, and so I think if you're Miami, I mean they've got to know in the back of their minds that if they go down 0-2 in this particular case, it's over. So yeah, I am going to take the plus 300. For Miami to win, and I will also take plus 550 if the Heat win by a winning margin of 1 to 5 points.
Ooh. So you're thinking if they win, it's going to stay close.
Yeah, they're not going to blow out Denver. Denver's just too dialed in.
I can see it. If that's the case, I see it being like Miami 102, Denver 100, something like that, where Miami scores a bucket late to win the game or something. So
awesome. Well, there you guys go. There's your finals preview coming in and your betting for game 2. Obviously there's going to be a lot more still to come here going into next week. I believe next Friday is game 4. So when we're back on here, guys, next Saturday, it is going to be, we'll know where we're at essentially. You know, we're either it's been a sweep or we got one more game go. So I'm excited for it. So guys, make sure you guys tune in Monday night. Of course, we got the LTS sports show starting. And then you'll be back with the sports buffoons on Wednesday night. Excited for that because I'm sure we're going to have a lot more to talk after 3 games of this final series. So everybody have a safe weekend. Enjoy the finals. Check out Stanley Cup finals out tonight as well. The 8 seed Florida Panthers, the other team that's the 8 seed on that side, who beat the Boston Bruins initially. So check them out. It's going to be a fun series as well. Everybody have a fabulous day. We'll catch you guys later. See you.